constantly look against what are we trying to achieve. And it might be you go, oh my God, that's going to solve the problem I've got right now. Or it might be that you go, I can see this being useful down the line, but our customers aren't ready for it yet. So let's put it on our 2022 list or on our next quarter list. So it's really about filtering those bright, shiny objects rather than just hiding from them.
Hello, and welcome to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host, Kimberly, and we are really glad to have all of you join us today. On the show, we talk to CX and technology experts from around the world. We explore, uncover, and share fresh insights on creating experiences that your customers will remember and look forward to. Engati is the world's leading multilingual, no-code digital CX platform available across 14 channels with 45,000 solutions created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as the top platform by Inc. magazine, Tech World, CIO magazine, and many others. Engati recently also won the Cody 2021 award for the best AI-driven technology solution. We run the Engati blog, the video channel, the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. We have Chloë Thomas, is a global recognized e-commerce marketing problem solver, author of several best-selling books, keynote speaker, advisor, and host of both award-winning e-commerce MasterPlan podcast and the brand new Keep Optimizing Marketing podcast. She loves helping businesses and the right way to grow and help them solve problems. Welcome to the show, Chloë. We are so glad to have you join us today.
Hey, Kimberly, it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me on.
Likewise. Before we dive into our interview with Chloë, don't forget to subscribe to Engati and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content coming from thought leaders from around the globe. Well, Chloë, today let's talk about how B2B businesses are kind of being the new wave and what exactly is the situation. So starting with the first question that I would like to ask you is, what is the current situation of B2B e-commerce market situation and what are the trends that is driving it currently?
Well, I suppose the biggest trend that's been driving it over the last 18 months is the pandemic and everyone being forced to work from home. So your salespeople can't go out on the road. So how are you going to sell to your customers? Oh my word, what are we going to do? Oh, we'd better build an e-commerce solution. So there's been a huge number of businesses who sell to other businesses going, oh my God, we need an e-commerce solution so as we can service our customers. And that is been the big shift in the industry in very recent months. The thing which has been going on for an awful lot longer is the rise of millennials in the workplace, is how people seem to like to put it. But I think it's more I like to put it more like we've seen people in their own lives are going, actually, this ordering online thing works quite well. Why at work do I have to send a fax to order my stationery or to refill the bar? Why am I sending a fax, or why am I having to do this in a really waiting for Jim to arrive so I can place an order with Jim? It just makes no sense. Why can't I do the same things there? So it's heavily being driven by consumer or the end purchaser, I suppose, their desires, and those are the really big trends in why B2B e-commerce is becoming ever larger.
Perfect. What do you think could be the expectations that B2B enterprises have changed, or what was the previous structure that we followed?
I think there's this expectation that from both sides, both the purchaser and the supplier, that things could be easier and more streamlined. The slightly crazy thing about a lot of B2B businesses who are embracing e-commerce for the first time is that actually they've done what in B2C is the hard bit. They've already got all the data and all the prices and all the customer data in a system. They just haven't bolted on a front end so the customer can do the work of placing the orders for them. So I think that's really is one of the key expectation changes is we've done all this hard work. Let's finish joining the dots. So how can we make this more seamless? Because on the supplier side, you'll save money. And that doesn't mean sacking your sales team, because your sales team then can go out and grow the sales even greater. So you both increase revenue and lower costs. It's kind of amazing. And then also on the consumer side or the buyer side, it's this so much easier way of doing business. They can have the time with the sales reps for the difficult things, for the value add things, for the questions, but they can get those orders in much more easily, be it via a mobile app, be it via the website, be it via whatever it may be, but it can be an awful lot simpler than it has been previously.
Perfect. So you kind of spoke about making processes more streamlined. So what are the important technical requirements that could kind of boost sales in a B2B market?
I think first and foremost, it's understanding how your customers want to buy from you. I mentioned mobile apps. So if you're selling to people running bars and restaurants and cafes, if they can place their order as they wander around the bar on an app on their mobile phone and place that order, that's an awful lot easier than them having to write it all down, then go to get the laptop out and all the rest of it. Especially if that app, if they can do it when they're having a quiet afternoon and then they can top up that order later on, that you need to understand how they want to buy, because them compared to someone who's in charge of ordering stationery for an office of 100 people, very different requirements. And then they adapt as well. So that person who's in charge of buying stationery for 100 people used to have it all delivered to the office, but now they're all working from home. So you now have a much different ordering process. So it's getting the tech right for that, because in one of the probably the biggest difference between B2B e-commerce and B2C e-commerce is when it comes to consumers, yes, you have to make the process easy, but how it looks and feels can have a big impact on the buying decision. Whereas in B2B, it's all about the functionality and giving people what they want. Do they want to be able to see their past orders? Do they want to be able to see their account data? Do they want to be able to see their invoices? Do they want to have the functionality for certain people can raise an order, but only other people can sign it off? How does that work for mass groups? What tech are you going to use? Is it actually a spreadsheet option, but that they can upload? It's all about the functionality. So any tech which can make that functionality work better, make it easier for the user, is going to help with the shift from paper-based or phone-based or whatever it might be, those manual processes, taking it through to the more interactive, time-saving solutions.
Right, I completely agree with what you're saying, but I'm again curious to know how greater of an impact has personalization been on businesses. I'm sure when we've given everything to our customers do kind of expect a personalized customer journey. So do you think this is kind of a roadblock, or do you think this is like a golden rule that we've cracked?
I think it's a golden rule. I think, one of the things which traditional B2B selling did very well was that one-to-one perspective. The person on the other end of the phone is the customer. They've got all your details. They know what they're putting together for you. They can look up your whole order profile. You probably know them by name. They probably phone you at the same time every week, or, they pop around the office at the same time every quarter. It was entirely personal. I think what a lot of businesses fear when they shift to the e-commerce route is that they're going to lose that personal touch. But there's so much we can do with tech to maintain that personal touch. So I know a lot of B2B e-commerce businesses create slightly different interfaces for different customers. Because the customers are so big, you can add and remove functionality based on what that customer wants. Unique price lists. We can have unique products that are only available to them, or bundles or packages. There's so much that can be done to personalize it. So it's often the real gains come from not so much the personalization you do on the fly automatically, but the personalization you do based on a proper conversation of how can we leverage our tech to create a better solution for each of our customers individually.
You've said it best. Talking about competitive factors, what do you think could be the rising competition components for a specific B2B e-commerce platform?
Well, I feel like I'm being a bit repetitive, but given this is the Engati CX podcast, I think it's all right to be repetitive on this point. It's about the ease of use. There's a lot of, especially as younger buyers are coming into the marketplace, they expect to be able to purchase easily online without having to dust off the fax machine, without having to make the phone call. They expect to be able to see exactly what the prices are on that day. They expect to be able to see the stock quantities. And if you haven't done that yet and your competition have, and they're a new buyer coming into one of your key customers, you're going to find it very hard to keep them. You know, prior to the pandemic, the number one reason that B2B businesses were adopting e-commerce was because their customers were demanding it.
Mm.
You know, so the real competitive factor is the ease of use and giving the customer what they want. Then it comes back to all the other things that have always been competitive, you know, price, product availability, delivery, ease of use, etc., etc.
Perfect. You've said it right when you've kind of mentioned that. But how can we kind of rectify these roadblocks or these failures that most of B2B businesses kind of face in terms of digital transformation? Now that we've known, because of the pandemic, digital transformation is kind of forced on most of businesses, and I'm sure there have been a few startups who are struggling yet to kind of get there. So what do you think are these roadblocks, and how can we actually take a step back and rectify them?
I mean, I think the number one roadblock for a B2B selling business embracing e-commerce is the team and the people in the team. You have, the whole process of moving in an ideal world. Obviously, it's been a bit forced of late, but in an ideal world, it's a process that involves bringing all the departments of the business on board and helping them understand what the real opportunity and the real, success factor for your customers is going to be, because you need the salespeople on board. They're not going to lose their jobs. They're going to be able to have a better relationship with their customers and do more value add. You're not going to be, your customer service team aren't going to be losing their jobs. They're just going to spend less time tediously rekeying things into another system. So you've got to get them bought in from day one, because those customer facing people are going to be the make or break of whether this channel works for you, because they're the ones who are going to be encouraging the customers to use it. They're the ones who are going to be understanding how you can improve the platform for the customers. And if you don't get those things right, you can release the best, most coolest piece of tech in the world, but if your frontline team aren't bought in and wanting to help their customers use it and see the benefits, it's not going to work for you.
Correct. I think it's very important to make sure that departments don't work in silos and kind of, know what the other department is kind of facing and then introduce a technology. Because very rightly said, the best piece of technology in the world would just prove to be useless if you're not trying to understand what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
So now that we've spoken about what exactly could be the possibilities that businesses could kind of face in terms of roadblocks and kinds of challenges, how can we actually improve the digital experience for B2B enterprises? Because like I've already mentioned, is digital transformation is kind of revamped everything. So how can we use this to our best of our capabilities?
I mean, I think the best thing is something to do is what I go on about quite a lot, which is to avoid the bright, shiny objects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a bright, shiny object is, when you're walking down the road and then something shiny attracts you. It could be an ice cream van. It's very warm where I am right now, so ice cream vans are quite front of mind. But something which completely distracts you off your path. You're on your way to buy a salad, you see the ice cream van, you go and buy an ice cream. The same thing happens in business. We know what our strategy is. We know what we've got to do. We've listened to our customers and we've understood what they want. Then we're going down the road and then someone's gone, oh, there's this cool tech that will enable you to put videos of every product on your site. And it's like, we sell coffee. No one needs a video of your product, but still you go and you lose a couple of days trying to work out how to integrate this video software into your web platform when you didn't need it. So do not get distracted by the bright, shiny objects. Remember that what you're trying to do is to create a platform that makes it super easy and straightforward for your customers to transact with you, so that you can then spend your people time creating a value add on that relationship. And that is where you've got to stay focused, not on the crazy shiny stuff. And especially when you're in B2B e-commerce, there isn't a lot of content out there for B2B e-commerce people. So you end up going along to the B2C e-commerce where there's a lot of bright, shiny, sexy new tech, which is utterly irrelevant for the B2B and will just be a massive distraction. So stay on point, stay on strategy, carry on listening to your customers, and then you'll be set up for success.
But then, do you think that probably if we're kind of not looking at the shiny things, we could kind of miss out on one of the best technologies? How can we know that, this particular thing is something made for me. Probably I would be unknown to it today, but maybe tomorrow I could come into use. So how can businesses like not miss out on these technologies?
Well, that is the problem with the bright, shiny object, is you need to know they exist to know whether they're the right thing for you or not. So I'm certainly not saying go and hide in your box and never look at what else is going out in the world. You need to be out there, you need to be going, oh, is that a bright, shiny object, or is that actually the right thing right now? So it's being clear on that strategy, being clear on what your customers need, and and what you're trying to achieve as a business in terms of cost reduction, because there's an awful lot we can automate now and reduce our costs by automating. The tech has got that good. So constantly look against what are we trying to achieve, and it might be you go, oh my god, that's going to solve the problem I've got right now, or it might be that you go, I can see this being useful down the line, but our customers aren't ready for it yet. So let's put it on our 2022 list or on our next quarter list. So it's really about filtering those bright, shiny objects rather than just hiding from them.
Correct. You definitely said it best. Are there any other thoughts that you would like to share with our audience? Is there anything that we've missed out, or something that you think is very essential for a B2B e-commerce market?
Well, I'd say for anyone who's in the B2B space, who's watching this, who's not yet sure about the e-commerce piece and what it could do for their business, just go and talk to your customers and find out how it can work for you. There are some amazing case studies, and there are some amazingly different ways it's being implemented. In the world of B2C, there's just one thing we all do, the same implementation. In the world of B2B, it's so much more complex and so much more rich and can really deliver for your customers. So really explore what your options out there and explore the different types of B2B e-commerce that are being built to find the right one for you, because you can waste an awful lot of time if you haven't worked that out before you get started. So that would be my top piece of advice then. For those out there who don't work in B2B e-commerce, keep an eye on the space, because it's one of the most exciting places in e-commerce at the moment. There's a lot of cool things going on, and a lot of interesting ways of using the tech that, as I said, in the B2C world, we just do the same thing over and over again.
Perfect. That is completely that I'm too going to keep for myself. And like you've mentioned, not to hide, but to kind of keep an eye as to what exactly could kind of help me. And actually, I think it's very important to know your strategies well and to kind of know what is placed where. So if you kind of come across something like that, you know where the puzzle fits, right? Thank you so much, Chloe, for giving us your time. Your insights were really valuable. And I know our audience is going to enjoy this interview as much as I did.
Lovely. Thanks so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure chatting with you and the audience, and I hope we've helped a few people.
Thank you. That means a lot. We'll be back again with a new episode and a brand new expert soon. So stay tuned, and we'll see you around for the next one.